All right, let's do it. It's Weather for Weather Geeks time here, the Tuesday evening edition, the 27th day of March 2018. Well, a week ago we were gearing up for a snowstorm, or at least we're not doing that. Not a great day, though, today with the rain and drizzle throughout the day. These are some 24-hour rain gauge totals from select rain gauges around the region. When I show this map, these are numbers that I have access to on the internet. Some personal weather stations, home weather stations, have the ability to upload data to the internet and make that available, data available to various sources. And so what you see is a selection of rain gauges that are like that. If you have a home rain gauge, maybe it's a low-tech one, and you want to share your rain totals with me, especially as we get into the spring and summer, please do so on social media. Really appreciate that. I'd love to see more data than we have available on this map. And as you can see, an average of a half an inch or so worth of rain over the last 24 hours. This is a 12-hour radar loop. The rain was pretty heavy at around daybreak this morning, and then it kind of transitioned into kind of a drizzle storm for a lot of the midday and afternoon. We're into a little bit of a break right now when I recorded this at about 7:25 this evening, but look what's off to the west. More rain. This steady rain's going to push back in overnight, and yeah, it's going to be a soggy night across the Mahoning and Shenango valleys. No severe weather threat here, but another sign that spring is starting to really kick in. I'm going to show you the next 3 days severe weather threats. It's all to our south, but interesting nonetheless. We'll be keeping an eye on Texas tonight, and then as we go into tomorrow, southeast Texas, including Houston, parts of Louisiana, parts of Mississippi and Arkansas, and then it shifts farther east as we go into the day on Thursday. So the severe weather season is starting to ramp up across the usual places. Our peak severe weather season around here typically is later in May and into June. High-res modeling tonight shows the rain pushing in, but as we go towards tomorrow morning, watch what's going on here. It's going to be raining as a lot of people get up to work and go to work and school tomorrow. Drier air lurking to our north, and I think that is going to push in as we go into the second half of the day tomorrow. So the big picture from a climate standpoint tomorrow, the averages tomorrow are 51, and the record is 78. We're going for 55 for high tomorrow, so it is going to be a warmer day. 12 hours, 31 minutes of daylight. Unfortunately, we're not going to see much sun tomorrow. Notice our rain chances peaking in the morning and then decreasing as we get into the afternoon tomorrow. I can't rule out a sprinkle tomorrow afternoon, but I think the rain's going to taper off fairly quickly by lunchtime at the latest and will lead to a mild and relatively benign afternoon tomorrow. And then here comes the rain again. The kind of the grand finale on this wave train of rain will come through midday afternoon on Thursday. It pushes out Thursday night, and Friday, actually, I think the sun's going to come out, and it's going to be a cooler day, but overall not a bad Friday afternoon. Watch what the temperature trend looks like over the next 7 days. Now, we kind of peak with highs near 60 on Thursday. We take a big step back on Friday, and then a fairly seasonable start to the weekend on Saturday, but I've taken Easter Sunday's high down quite a bit, as finally today we have better model agreement. Yesterday, our model agreement was not great, but finally we're starting to see a clear signal from the suite of models for the weekend, and it's a cooler signal for sure as we go into Easter Sunday. Look back at the weather records for Easter over the last several years, and then all the way back to 1930. Warmest Easter on record, you may remember 1976, it was 87 degrees, the coldest low temperature 20 back in March of 1940. The wettest was in 1988, the snowiest was in 1994, and over the last 5 years, we had some pretty mild Easters, including 77 last year, 76 2 years ago, 62 in 2015, and 73 in 2014. So we've lucked out on Easter recently, and with our forecast high of 44 coming up on Sunday, that would make it the coolest Easter Sunday since 2008 here in Youngstown. As far as the weather this weekend, other than temperatures, again, some better model agreement today. If we get some showers on Saturday, it's probably pretty late in the day. Overall, Saturday, not a bad day, despite the increase in clouds. As we go to Saturday night, some rain showers around, and then as cooler air wraps in, I wouldn't be totally shocked to see a couple of flurries around Sunday morning. If you're heading off to sunrise services Sunday morning, I wouldn't be totally shocked to see a few conversational snowflakes. Nothing impactful, it looks like, at this point. And then I think the sun will come out with those chilly afternoon temperatures. All right, last night I misspoke on Weather for Weather Geeks. I said, I don't know why I did this. I'm tired, I guess. I said February was colder than average, much like this month. It's actually the opposite. February was, of course, one of the warmest on average. And when we start talking about the April forecast, I've been showing you some models lately, showing a pretty cool signal for April, kind of like March. One other way we do some long-range forecasting is we look at the past and see if that might give us some clues about the future. I'm going to show you a couple of years that had warm Februaries followed by cold Marches, and then we look at what happened in April. This is 1954. A warm February, a cold March was followed by a pretty significantly warmer April in 1954. So that was that year, but then 1984, kind of the opposite signal. So you had a warm February, a cold March, and then a pretty cold April once again. I picked these 2 years because there were some other similarities as far as the atmospheric, oceanic setup as well, including coming off of a La Nina and some other stuff as well. So 2 years in which you had a warm February, cold March, and then complete opposite Aprils. Last year, we had a warm February, a colder, it was kind of average, but it was colder in March, and then we had a pretty warm April last year. Some of the other I didn't show you last year's map because some of the other factors were very much different last year, including coming off of an El Nino, or coming off of a very weak La Nina, I should say, instead of a moderate La Nina like we had this past winter. Here's a look at some of the latest modeling. This kind of looks like what I showed you last night. Cold signal in April. That's the climate forecast system model, and then here's last night's run of the European modeling for the next 32 days, taking us through most of April. Again, pretty similar map. Now, when I show you these maps, that doesn't mean every day is going to be colder than average. But right now, the trend is for a colder than average period overall for the next month or so. Now, of course, keep in mind that we're not in the dead of winter anymore. We're heading into the middle of spring in April, and averages are rising quickly at this time of the year. So chilly weather by mid-April is typically defined as highs in the 50s. That's a long way from a couple of months ago when a chilly day was highs in the teens and 20s. So those maps look intimidating, a lot of blue, a lot of green, but that doesn't mean we're going to be shivering all the time. It just means a cooler than average month of April seems fairly likely. Now, a lot of times when we show you these monthly outlooks, they're colored by, certain parts of the month. In other words, early April, the first 2 weeks of April might be really chilly. The second half of April might be fairly mild, but because the first half was really chilly, the monthly map will look chilly. That doesn't mean that, the whole period was chilly, but when you shake out all the numbers after the period, it'll look that way. So we'll have an official April forecast coming out. I'll probably do it Friday evening. The first day of April is, of course, Easter Sunday. So Friday evening, I'll probably do my official April outlook. So hope you look forward to that, and I hope you watch Weather for Weather Geeks again tomorrow night. We'll have an update on the short range and the long range, as usual, on the Valley's most in-depth weather forecast.